Thank you, Christopher. So good to hear you in this meeting house. We are called to worship. Once again, we gather, returning, if only virtually this year, to this ancient house of beams and posts and rafters, this ancient house of worship. On this day, we return from the four winds we gather, from however far or near we've been this summertime, returning to this, our spiritual home. For our spiritual home is, after all, not a building, treasured though it is, but is this beautiful community, our beloved Old Ship community. So yes, it is good to be gathered again, though not literally sheltered by these old rafters and beams, surely sheltered and held by one another in a community of love and care. To share our burdens, to celebrate together our joys, to learn and grow in one another's company, together to help make a better world. It is good to have gathered once again. It is good. Our introit, our choral introit, will be sang by a soloist, our wonderful bass soloist, Rich Jensen, who is offering this remotely, and he will be singing Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. Rich, we look forward to hearing from you.
Come, Spirit, come, our hearts control, our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every deed. By this we worship and are free.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, thank you. Chalice lighting. I will light the chalice, but we are blessed that Karen Churchill, our chair of our Worship and Music Committee, will be offering some chalice lighting words. And so, Karen.
The flame of our chalice this morning is a symbol of the warmth and brightness of our connections. The flame lights our way back together from our separate summer lives, and it lights our way forward into this new church year of promise and renewal. Love to everybody.
Thank you, Karen. Beautiful. Thank you. Going to sing a hymn. I say we, even though we will not be able to hear one another. You'll hear Christopher and I will be singing, but you may know the song. Come sing a song with me. Some of you may have downloaded the order of worship and have it before you. A few of you may have hymn books. Come sing a song with me is number 346 in our hymn books. Christopher. Winter of you singing, and it was beautiful. Thank you, Christopher, for leading us. Every year at this time, we've shared a responsive reading with multiple leaders. This year, I will lead our We Give Thanks Together reading. That's your response, so you can say that wherever you are, and I will give you indication as to when it's time to say, we give thanks together for so many gifts. For this gathering, this homecoming, here and now, these people, this place, this day, this blue-green earth, for this we give thanks together. For this ancient house of meeting and worship, filled with history and memory, filled with beauty and peace, for this we give thanks together. For the women and men and children who breathe life into our First Parish Old Ship community, here and now. For all who continue to make Old Ship a community of love and service, for this we give thanks together. For the wider community of Unitarian Universalism of which we are a part, a community of seekers, a community of love and truth, a community of peace and justice. For this, we give thanks together. And for the abundance of life on this dear earth, for love overflowing, for all of this, we give thanks together. Well, welcome once again. Welcome to our virtual worship, though, as I said at the beginning of last spring when we were going virtual, in a way there's nothing virtual about it. We are really here in all the different places that we are. It's real, it's connecting with one another in a significant way. Just a word about Zoom and the nature of this worship. You have the choice to be on gallery view or speaker view. You can see everybody, or you can see the speaker writ large, so to speak, upper right-hand corner, I think, of most of your screens. You can choose whether to have your video on or off. That's in the lower left-hand corner, your choice entirely. And there will be a coffee hour, fellowship hour. Bring your own coffee or tea following the service on this same link. You can just stay connected. We'll pause the service just for a few seconds and begin a coffee hour. I'll explain more about that when the time comes, and you're free to, of course, free to stay or free to sign off and enter the rest of your day. I want to offer a number of special thanks in regard to our worship today. Colin McGinnis is managing the camera and the large part of our tech today and has prepared us to be able to do this. Thank you so much, Colin. Likewise, Christopher has been helping with the tech, and of course the music is always wonderful. Thank you, Christopher. Our new interim DRE and administrator, Chloe, has been offering her expertise and helping to make this happen. And Karen, our Worship and Music Committee Chair, her support and participation, and our soloists today, Rich and Heather, thank you for just being willing to jump in on this first Zoom worship. Many thanks to go around. The only announcements, keep an eye out in your email inbox for our weekly coming events every week on Tuesday morning. And the only event this week I'll mention, because it's Tuesday afternoon, 4 o'clock, Conversations with Ken. That would be me. We'll talk about specific topics sometime, or just wherever the conversation goes. The link will be included in the weekly update. And I believe here end the announcements. So now I'm very pleased to make a special introduction this morning for the first time in this setting to Chloe Bridet, our Interim Director of Religious Education, who will offer a time for all ages. I hope you've been reading about her and from her in the newsletters. It's a pleasure, and we are very fortunate to be able to introduce Chloe.
Hi, everyone. As Ken said, my name is Chloe Bridet, and I'll be serving as your Interim Director of Religious Education and the Parish Administrative Assistant. So I live in Boston, and that's where I'm coming to you from today. And I'm also going to be seeing the Ministerial Fellowshipping Committee on October 2nd, so I can become a minister just like Ken. So I hope that everybody can pray for me on that day. I asked for that. So many of you got used to seeing Beverly on a regular basis as the DRE here at Old Ship. And I've heard from a lot of people that they miss Bev. I've heard a lot of good memories and fun times that you all had. And I was brought here to Old Ship to help make the transition to a new Director of Religious Education after me. So I'm here to help with that transition. I'm what they call an interim. And an interim means temporary or here for a limited period of time. It's a short period of time. And I'll probably be here for only 1 or 2 years at Old Ship. So now that we know that interim means temporary or a short time, what does it actually mean? What does an interim do? Well, some of my job looks similar to what it's always looked like. We had an RE class on Sunday mornings. I got to see the little ones this morning. We even had a birthday in class. And the youth get to see me regularly at youth group. I, along with the Religious Education Committee, are busy planning lots and lots of fun activities for you guys. But there are some differences. So because an interim is for a limited time, I get to do something really fun, which means that I get to wear a different pair of glasses, lots and lots of different pairs of glasses. So watch. I'm currently wearing my favorite pair of glasses. They're big, they're brown, I love them. But sometimes when I want to look serious, I put on my purple glasses. And so I get to see things from a more serious angle. And sometimes I even wear, sunglasses. And they help me see things a little less bright. They help me see things that are, when it's really sunny, it makes things a little bit darker. Sometimes if I'm having fun, I try on my partner's glasses. Do you see these? They're big and they're black, and they even make me a little woozy because they're not the right prescription. Have you ever done that? Have you put on glasses that are not your own or somebody else's and you start to feel a little bit like this? So sometimes I get to put on her glasses, and it's fun because I get to see the world, what it looks like through her eyes maybe, or what she might look like with glasses on. But then sometimes I put on my old glasses. So I have a couple pairs of old glasses to show you here. These were some glasses that I wore like a year ago or two. They're white, clear, and big. And then when I was in graduate school, I had these brown glasses that I used to wear that are square. And then even before that, when I lived in West Virginia, I had these long black glasses that I would wear sometimes. And so I get to even go back in time when I put on all these different pairs of glasses. But to be honest with you, I really just want to go back to my favorite pair right now. So the interim process, this short process that we're going to be going through, I get to see the religious education program at Old Ship putting on tons and tons of different pairs of glasses. For example, I get to ask the kids what they think of RE. I get to ask the Religious Education Committee what they think, put on their glasses. I get to ask adult members who've been here for a really long time what they think. I get to ask people who've maybe only been here a couple years or 1 or 2 times what they think. And so I hope that I get to put on all these different pairs of glasses and see things from a bunch of different angles. And so as we go through that process, I'm really excited to talk to each and every one of you and to get to keep going through this process together. I'm excited to be with you all. Thank you, Ken.
Chloe, we look forward to sort of seeing through your eyes all the different perspectives that you have on us, because so often you can't see what's right in front of you when you're so used to it. So thank you for that message and for being among us. We arrive at our time of joys, sorrows, and concerns. As we've done through the spring, I had invited you to share if you liked ahead of time, joy or sorrow or concern, and I will share those with you. I will first light all the candles and then share the joys, sorrows, and concerns as we hold everyone in our hearts. First candle was asked for by Laura Harbottle, who asked for 2 candles, or 1 to hold them both. First for her dear friend Bev from junior high school, who lost her son in a car accident in August. And second, Laura says, for her cousin Rachel, as she deals with a new episode of her brain cancer. We hold all those family members and friends in our hearts. Kitty Ward has asked that a candle be lit in memory of Ginny Pomeroy's son, Mark Fish, whose burial service took place yesterday. We hold Mark in our hearts and also Ginny and all her family. Karen has asked that a candle be lit for Anne Lawrence. She was a friend to many, not so much in this congregation, but in other churches, someone I knew as well. She is actively passing, Karen says, at her home in Braintree, and Karen writes, she has given so much to surrounding churches and people in her life. A beautiful soul, may she find peace. Candle also burns for Old Ship member Kathy DeColey, who has been hospitalized once again and is home recovering and regaining strength. Candle burns for our member Patience Gardner, who had had a significant hospitalization and is now home recovering and regaining strength as well. And this final candle, Patty Smith asks that a candle be lit for all those in California, Oregon, and Washington State as they deal with fires and the pollution from those fires, all the destruction. Oh my goodness, we hold all those out west in our hearts and minds. And all these candles burn as well for whatever joys, sorrows, or concerns are in our hearts, in our minds, though they've remained unexpressed in words among us. Now we'll enter our time of meditation, prayer, and silence. We'll be quiet as we do, quiet as we hold in our hearts the joys, sorrows, and concerns that have been shared. Quiet as we feel one another's presence, even at a distance, on the screen, an image or a name. And those not present, but we feel their presence in our community. So good to know we are connected. Connected with old friends. Connected with folks we have yet to meet in our community and look forward to meeting. Here in this community of love and mutually helping hands. And so may we be quiet for a blessed few moments. May they be renewing, restorative moments as we are just here, wherever we each are, just now, as we enter this quiet time. water communion. A ritual here in our parish, as in many Unitarian Universalist congregations, each year at this time, up till now, when we're gathered together in this room. How shall we do it this year? Well, I have water, as I do each year, from last year, which I'll pour into our bowl, reminding us that we're connected not just to one another here and now and this time, but connected to those from the past who've shared the water from their travels, from their backyard, from their tap, wherever it might be. So I'll pour that water. And then I would invite you, if you like, to indicate through the chat, which is at the bottom of your screen, where you have brought water from or would have brought water from or would have loved, some exotic place you might have loved to be, so near or far. Just a few words so everybody can see, if you like. And as you do that, I will be pouring additional water representing all the water that you have brought with you or would have. And if you like, if you've got your sample of water, you can hold it up on the screen. So first, this water from last year and many years past. And now, as you contemplate where you have brought water from or would have, or perhaps type in the chat where your water has come from, I will pour this additional water. My screen's a little too far away to see where all your water has been coming from, but I can see that the notes are being typed. Remembering as we see all these places typed on the screen, how we're connected not just to one another, but on this water planet, to everyone. All the human family, all the family of life, water, life-giving water. We are mostly water. Our planet is mostly water. Life-giving water. We are blessed by water. All life is blessed and made possible by water. May our year together be blessed. Life-affirming, life-enriching, life-serving. I invite you to continue to type in where your water has come from. Our next piece of music will be offered by Christopher, and it's appropriate for the water communion, our offertory. So a reminder that you can click on our homepage, you can find a place to contribute. We depend on our shared gifts to continue the work of our community. So it is our time of offering, but it's also our time of sharing, continuing to share regarding the water communion. The song that Christopher will be singing and playing, actually a recording that he's layered in for us, is Blue Boat Home. So if you know it, you can be singing along. Blue Boat Home.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbored is my blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Well, that's pretty nice, Christopher. Thank you. Just beautiful. Just beautiful. We sailed together on our blue boat home. I'm going to talk for a little bit. My stated topic, as you may have seen in the newsletter, is more important than ever. By that I mean community. Now, this old ship meeting house has been standing here on this hillside since 1681, just a few decades after English colonial settlement on land taken, we have to name, from the Massachusetts and Wampanoag people, since our first parish congregation has been here since 1635. It's a long time, maybe 11 or 12 generations or so, which means we've been through a lot. We've been through a lot. Been here as far as our nation, the colonies to begin with in our nation, we've been through many wars. King Philip's War against the Wampanoag, American Revolution, 1812, Civil War, Spanish-American War, the World Wars, Vietnam, on it goes. We've been here through economic depression, through tumultuous elections, and much more. And we've been here as well through whatever internal disputes or squabbles we've had in our congregation from time to time, yet here we still are. And for all but the earliest years of our congregation, no one was forced to be here, to be part of our congregation or to come to church. For most of our history, it's been of free will that people attend and become part of the congregation, which makes it all the more remarkable, so it seems to me, that we're still here. Particularly because we can indeed share stories of conflict and division within our congregation from time to time over the centuries. Goodness, our third minister, Ebenezer Gay, as perhaps many or most of you know, was a loyalist during the Revolution when many, if not most of his congregation, were patriots. And he then managed to serve for another 9 years after the Revolution. A few decades later, a significant group of members of the congregation started another church, what's now called New North Church. This is in the midst of a bitter dispute as to the minister that was being called at the time. That itself is a long story. Much more recently, and there have been much in between as well, we can't know them all the little arguments and sometimes larger, but more recently, a number of folks left the congregation during the Vietnam War, that tumultuous era in our nation's history. So the stories are many, but the congregation, this religious community, and every community has its disputes, just like every family, we have endured, and here we are still. Now, it occurs to me that it might have something to do with the fact that we are a congregation joined not by creed, not by a statement of belief, but by covenant. By covenant. We have no shared statement of belief that everyone must adhere to, but right from the start, our congregation, like most of the New England early congregations, was gathered by covenant. Now, within the statement of covenant in those early years, there was assumed Christian belief, affirmations, but again, they weren't creedal in nature. Covenants, by contrast, are agreements as to how we will be with one another, how we will walk together, even amidst our differences. Covenants are about how we will be in the world. Well, covenants are agreements, not things we have to believe in together. Our current covenant goes something like this. Many of you will recall it, at least in general terms. As a congregation committed to Unitarian Universalist principles, we join with one another in the spirit of respect, reverence, humility, and love. To seek the truth freely, to nurture spiritual growth and ethical commitment, to care for one another, and seeking justice, peace, and ecological sustainability to serve life. Now, I can preach many a sermon based on this covenant. In fact, in a way, every sermon I preach is based on one or another dimensions of this covenant. Sermons about love and respect, sermons about our search for truth, about how best to tend to our spiritual growth, to become the better human beings we seek to be as we care for one another, as we care for the wider world, to serve life, as our covenant says. Now, do we always live up to our covenantal agreements? Of course not. We are human. We are imperfect. And that's why we have the words to bring us back, to call us back to how we truly want to be as human beings with one another and in the wider world. This said, though, we fall short more often than we might like. I think we do pretty well. Quite recently, I've seen how well we do as I learn, as you've been part of this, learn of the phone calls and emails that old shippers have been making to one another, connecting in the midst of pandemic isolation. I've seen it in a report of tears shed as a loaf of bread was delivered from one parishioner to another. As simple as that, and profound. I've seen this in the number of old shippers who have taken leadership roles or simply showed up again in Black Lives Matter demonstrations or to climate justice lobbying. And over the years and decades of my ministry here among you, I've seen how we bring our covenant to life in so many ways. Every time, for example, that people show up for a memorial service for a dear one among us who've died, even those who may not have known that person very well, we show up. I've seen us strive to live our agreements when I observe respectful disagreements, and when I observe old shippers seeking to make amends when they feel they've fallen short of their own standards and our standard of respect and love. And our shared work for equal marriage rights, for peace, for climate justice, all of this also manifests our effort to live the spirit of our covenant. So of course we're not perfect, but I am so grateful now more than ever, grateful to be part of a congregation that seeks to live as best we can this shared covenant of ours, a covenant which perhaps can be put this simply: to serve life with love. So these days, as our nation feels increasingly fractured, the very health of our democracy at stake, for heaven's sake, I'm grateful also to be able to affirm that our old ship community feels to me resilient, even in the midst of this need to have physical separation, which itself, this keeping physically separate, we're not socially distant, we're socially connected, but we need to keep physically separated. And this itself manifests care and love as we hold the safety and health and well-being of each of us in our hearts. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel as though I've been carrying real grief and sadness these past months in relation to the loss of connection with actual living beings in our congregation, more than a screen, beautiful though that can be, as it is this morning, to see our images on the screen. But it's a real grief, even so. There's something missing, something deeply missing, and sadness magnified because I know, as I feel myself, as we all know, that there are so many worries and anxieties floating among us in our personal lives, as well as in addition to our national lives, our global lives and events. All this woven into whatever measure of loneliness so many feel. But we are still Old Ship. So there's plenty of good news here, as together we have been and will continue to find ways not just to sustain, but to deepen our connections within our community, to bring love and care to one another again and then again. Live streamed worship, Zoom classes, groups and meetings, more personally, the phone calls, emails, distanced outdoor conversations, to not just sustain, but deepen our community. We have been and are sticking together as we must, for community is more important than ever for our own well-being individually and in service to our ideals of justice, peace, and the health of the earth upon which we depend. Historians have said that the American Revolution was won before the first shot was fired. And that was because of the small groups, committees of correspondence that were meeting throughout the colonies for years and years to share grievances and to strategize. Well, our Old Ship community has been meeting for centuries. And though community is a word we may sometimes use too easily or glibly, it's one of the most powerful words and realities in our lives. So, thank you. Thank you, each and every one of you. However much or little you're able to be involved in our community, whether you're here on the South Shore or somewhere afar, you're here. You're part of who we are, enriching our Old Ship community, and that means enriching the wider world. Thank you, as together we continue. So may it be. So may it long be. I will extinguish the flames lit with love, but not the care and concern they represent, just as I will extinguish the flame of our chalice, but not our Unitarian Universalist faith and values that it represents: freedom, truth, justice, peace, and above all, love. We are going to sing again, "There is More Love Somewhere." Christopher and I will be singing, and I hope you will be where you are. It's one we've sung a lot. There's more love somewhere. I'm going to keep on till I find it. And we'll go from love to hope to peace to joy. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. More hope. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more hope somewhere. More peace. There is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. And I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. You know, even in the midst of suffering, especially, and challenge, we still need joy. We need to share joy with one another when it arises. There's more joy. There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. And I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere. May we remember deep within our hearts that with each kind word, each generous gift of time, with each selfless deed of love, each welcoming gesture, we indeed transform ourselves and one another, helping to create the beloved community here and wherever we are and wherever we go, a community of peace, justice, happiness, for which we all yearn on this dear earth that we share. So may it be. And now, as our choral benediction, we are so pleased to be able to hear our soprano soloist, Heather. Heather.
Alleluia, 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 alleluia.
And our postlude, recorded from the old ship organ, which none of us have heard for quite some time, our postlude.